Skip Bayless, I absolutely believe he's worth the contract because of the guaranteed dollars. That was what I was monitoring. When I hear $120 million, do I think Joe Flacco is worth that? Absolutely not. Especially when Peyton Manning gets less, when Tom Brady gets less, when Drew Brees gets less. Of course he's not. But when you go to the $52 million in guarantees, then that's up the alley in terms of where I think Joe Flacco has earned the right to make that kind of money.
Second most in the league?
Well, it doesn't forget the second most in the league. Instead, pay attention to the fact that for 5 consecutive years, all 5 of his years in the NFL, he's taken the team to the playoffs each season. He's been to 3 AFC championship games. He's been to a Super Bowl, and now he's won that very Super Bowl he went to. You are a Super Bowl champion. You are a perennial playoff quarterback. You look at those credentials alone, and that warrants those considerations. When I look at Drew Brees, I see 1 Super Bowl title. When I look at Aaron Rodgers, I see 1 Super Bowl title. Eli Manning, the case of 2 Super Bowl titles. There's no doubt about that, and Tom Brady has 3. But Tom Brady, it's not Tom Brady's fault that the New Orleans Saints elected to give him 60 when the New England Patriots gave him $48 million at the time in guaranteed dollars, because Tom Brady, the ultimate company man, doesn't mind taking less for the good of the team. Yeah. The point that I'm trying to make to you is, in the end, what it comes down to is that Joe Flacco, his level of productivity when it counts, which is in the postseason, has validated the $50 million, especially when you consider the fact that Michael Vick was one of those top 5 quarterbacks with $40 million in guaranteed money. So all of those things being considered, the market was what it was, and if you take advantage of the market available to you, I'm not knocking you for that.
I disagree with you about 52 million ways. But let me say, before I get into my diatribe over here, I know Joe Linta well. That's Flacco's agent. He's a good man, and he worked hard for a long, long time in this league to get to this level. And congratulations to Joe Linta and to Joe Flacco here.
He did a hell of a job with this contract.
Now, my bottom line on it, the Ravens laughably overpaid for Joe Flacco, and this contract will haunt them for years to come. Now, to your point, laughably overpaid. To your point, they had little choice to do anything else. They fell right into the Flacco trap. I will give you this. For 4 straight playoff games, he played at a level that deserves this kind of contract. But it's only for 4 straight playoffs games, and that includes the Super Bowl, as you point out. 11 touchdowns over those 4 games to 0 interceptions. Stephen A., he was pathetic for much of the regular season last year. There have been stretches in previous regular seasons when he has been, and I'm not going to throw this word around lightly, he was pathetic. So let's look at what just happened. In the playoffs, he completed only 58% of his passes. How many times did he just throw it up for Anquan Bolden, just go up and snatch it out of midair? How many times? Anquan in those 4 games caught 22 for 380 and 4 touchdowns. You don't think Anquan helped make Flacco? Now, what if Raheem Moore, that poor soul in Denver, and I hate to even bring his name up, Stephen A., but what if he hadn't taken one of the worst angles in the history of the playoffs and committed one of the biggest playoff blunders ever by letting that Hail Flacco sail over his head to Jacoby Jones for a 70-yard touchdown that tied the game and sent it in overtime at Denver? What if that hadn't happened? What if he had simply just played the defense the way it should have been played? What if, and how much, let me ask you, how much do you think Joe Flacco benefited from Ray Lewis returning for those 4 games? And we all heard about the last ride that lifted the Ravens up out of the doldrums of losing 4 of their last 5. How much did Ray benefit Joe Flacco? That's a big question.
You know what? You sound crazy, and I'm going to tell you why. I can't believe most of your diatribe has been predicated on what ifs. The fact of the matter is, this is the game of football. You talk about what ifs. Let me give you a fact. Joe Flacco comes into this league 2008, his first season, 11-5, 9-7, 12-4, 12-4, and 10-6. A playoff appearance each time, 3 AFC championship games, and a Super Bowl championship. Now, obviously, there are plays that you could look at and say, well, if this hadn't happened, if that hadn't happened, well, you know what would have happened? We raved about the Baltimore Ravens defense, but excuse me, your special teams gave up 2 big-time plays to the Denver Broncos in that playoff game. What if? Last time I checked, Baltimore's offense put up 35 points. Last time I checked, they got to the postseason. Last time I checked, they've been to the postseason every year. Joe Flacco wasn't paid just because he won a Super Bowl title. In the end, that's the culminating point. But in reality, what he's being paid for is his body of work over the years. You can point to
Really?
That's right, because here's the deal.
Wow.
Like you said, there have been awful performances in his career. Eli Manning, according to you, he's got 2 Super Bowl titles based on luck. So as a result,
That's true.
So as a result, we should dismiss the fact that he's a 2-time Super Bowl champion. You forget the luck that Tom Brady was blessed with in the Snow Bowl against Oakland that helped deliver his first Super Bowl.
Give you that one.
But you ignore that.
I didn't ignore that.
Acknowledging it as I say it.
I wrote it at the moment. I said it was an outrageous.
I'm not talking about what you wrote in the moment, and I'm not talking about what you're saying today. I'm talking about the body of work that you've elocuted and articulated over the national airwaves over the last 8 or 9 years when it comes to the savior himself, Tom Brady. I'm saying to you, there have been plenty of games where we look at Tom Brady. If Wes Welker hadn't made this play, if their defense hadn't made that play, if Bill Belichick hadn't done something, then the New England Patriots would have lost. You don't bring it up then, but when it comes to some dude that you want to malign, you want to bring it up there. Now, not only did you preface your comments by saying you didn't think Flacco deserved the money, your quote was, correct me if I'm wrong, Miss Carrie Champion, he said 52 million reasons why you're wrong. So in other words, what are you trying to say? He didn't deserve $1? Is that what you're going to tell me? Because I could see if you said I could give you 12 million reasons because you thought he deserved 40 instead of the 52. But you said 52. So in other words, he didn't deserve anything?
He did not deserve the second most guaranteed money in this league.
Well, then be clear, Mr. Bayless.
Okay.
What did he deserve? Exactly. Looking at this landscape, what did he deserve?
Since you have accused me of not using any facts here, let me point out, I dare you to go.
Said you use facts.
Okay. I dare you to go read an excellent breakdown from ESPN Insider running right now on ESPN.com, which says, quote, and I'm going to quote from it. This is a breakdown using all kinds of facts and figures.
No problem.
Based on overall past performance, it seems clear Flacco is being vastly overpaid. Vastly overpaid. It also goes on to say that last year he had, and I quote the article, a horrible regular season, and that in part, Flacco got to the Ravens got to the playoffs in spite of Joe Flacco. In spite of Joe Flacco?
I'm gonna talk to you.
Can I do one more?
Go ahead.
One more.
Go ahead.
I'm going to bring this up. I try to say this all year long. What's my favorite quarterback stat? QBR. Right. It was introduced in 2008. It's a scale of 0 to 100. And just this last regular season, Joe Flacco posted the 2 worst QBRs in the history of the stat. A .3. Think about that. Not even a 1. A .3 at Houston and a .4 against Peyton Manning in Baltimore in the regular season game. That is, and I use my word again, pathetic.